Well, I cannot believe what is going on. This is just actually incredible, isn't it? Like, what is happening? What is going on with this story? Where is this story going to go? I mean, I truly cannot believe, and I do not know with this. This feels exceptional. Like, truly, truly exceptional. I mean, it has come to pass now that Newcastle United have put the bid in. So Newcastle United have put a bid in to sign Newcastle United's best player, one of the Premier League's best players, one of the world's best players. A statement signing that would revolutionise their club and send ripples across football. Like, bear in mind, this is massive news. Not only to the likes of the teams that want to win the Premier League. Like, this is big news for Pep Guardiola, no doubt. If Alexander Isak moves to Liverpool, that is massive news for Pep Guardiola. But make no mistake, it is massive news for Hansi Flick. Make no mistake, it is massive news for Luis Enrique. The world of football is keeping tabs on what Liverpool are up to, because what they are trying to do is secure dynasty. What they are trying to do is win multiple European Cups. And that is big news for Xabi Alonso. Big news for everyone who has designs on winning that kind of tournament. But something massive has happened today. Newcastle, to be fair to them, have said that they will not be bullied into selling Alexander Isak. They rejected the bid that came in. They rejected a bid that came in, a decent bid for what we are led to believe, but it fell well short of the valuation. The valuation that was set by Newcastle United with £150 million. Now, what is interesting about them saying that the bid is £150 million, is that the valuation is £150 million. This is where it gets very interesting. Because if the player is not for sale, that means that there isn't a valuation. The fact that Newcastle have said the valuation is 150 suggests to me that if Liverpool were to bid the 150, that the player would be for sale. So the player is for sale, he just wasn't for sale for that price, which is the first time that we've seen a chink in the armour of Newcastle United. It's the first time that Newcastle United have come close to even acknowledging that the player could leave or that the player is for sale. But now Liverpool have done something huge as well. So Newcastle, we have to give them credit. Newcastle have done something fairly impressive. They have said no. They have said no, we reject the bid before the bid even really landed. We had no time to appreciate the bid, no time to acknowledge the bid, no time to discuss the bid, because the bid was rejected out of hand like that. Bang. Newcastle. So Newcastle strike back. Liverpool score. Liverpool put in the bid. Newcastle equalise. Then suddenly, bang. Newcastle look like they're winning. They look like they're holding the cards. They look like they made a statement. They said that's not the valuation. They're in the driving seat. And do you know what Liverpool have done? And it's genius. They've walked away. They've walked away. They have totally unsettled the rhythm of Newcastle United. They have totally unsettled and destabilised everything that's going on at Newcastle. They have totally created a situation at Newcastle that is about as volatile and unsustainable as it can be. And they've now walked away. And that is how you negotiate. That is so impressive from Liverpool, because they are now have created a situation, or maybe that's harsh on them, because I do believe that they have behaved with decorum throughout. I do believe that Liverpool have behaved very well throughout. The initial leak was not Liverpool. Trust me on that. It was not Liverpool. So they have done everything right. They've behaved chivalrously. They've behaved with decorum. They've done the right thing, Liverpool. But they've also created a situation where Alexander Isak is now agitating for a move. Alexander Isak is now not training with his team. Alexander Isak is apparently injured and is not even having rehab at the club that pays wages. He is in Sociedad having his rehab there with his own team. So it feels now like it is unsustainable that he will ever play for Newcastle United again. And do you know what Liverpool have done? Liverpool, having made this situation, they have simply walked away, and they knew what they were doing here. They went in with a bid that was so far below the number that they knew that Newcastle would want. I'm not saying it's an unfair valuation. I think £150 million for one player is a little bit ridiculous. But I think we all must agree that this is incredible tactics. I mean, from Liverpool, in terms of their negotiation, in terms of the way that they've approached this, in terms of what they're trying to do here, the way that they've unsettled the player, bid a fee that they believe to be fair, and then walked away from the deal, that now leaves Newcastle in such an awkward position. Because now Newcastle probably, I say this reluctantly, but Newcastle possibly want to sell Isak for the maximum value. What Newcastle now want, if they have acquiesced to the fact that Alexander Isak will be leaving, what they need to do now is create some sort of bidding war. They need a situation where Liverpool are going for the jugular and Real Madrid are going for the jugular, and those two behemoth clubs bid, and the ultimate winner is Newcastle United because they both put the bid up. Now it feels like Liverpool are effectively bidding against themselves. It doesn't feel like there's a bidding war that's about to come to fruition. It doesn't feel like anyone else really is in the market. And if you analyse who could potentially rival Liverpool for this sale, I don't think there is anyone. The PIF are Newcastle, so there's no threat of Saudi because that's just staying with Newcastle. Every other club that you look at have already made their marquee signings or don't have the money. So Liverpool now know that they are holding all the cards. Liverpool know they got pocket aces and they are sitting on those pocket aces and they are basically now going to say, do you know what? Keep him. Just wait. Smoke a cigar. Wait. Just wait. Just keep him. You keep him. I'll tell you what, you enjoy. I'll tell you what, if you can get him playing for you again next year, good luck. You keep him. Do you really want him? Shall we walk away? Because you know full well that we don't actually need Isak. Because we already have, the most guaranteed goal scorer in the Premier League next season in Salah. We already have Hugo Ekitike coming through. We already have goals galore in the team, and we're already the best team in the country. We've already improved in massive ways, signing players like Florian Wirtz. We don't need him. Over to you. Do you want to play a game of chicken with this? Because if you do, ultimately, you will leave. And I've just had a look in the chat. There's a huge amount of people that actually agree with me here. 75% of the people who have voted still believe that Alexander Isak will end up a Liverpool player. And do you know what? I would completely agree with that. I would completely agree that that is true. I think that there is most certainly a world where Alexander Isak will end up a Liverpool player. And do you know why? Because there is no other real alternative, is there? There is basically no other alternative. If Liverpool actually walk away, Newcastle United basically have one option, and that is to somehow convince Alexander Isak, a player who is unhappy, a player who is agitated for a move, a player who wants to leave. You have to now convince that player to play for you. And if you can't convince him to play for you, it means that you have to sell him. And if you sell him and there is no bidding war, or if you sell him in 6 months' time when everybody knows that you're desperate to sell him, his value is plummeting. Suddenly, look, I think that Alexander Isak is currently worth... What do you think? What do you think he's worth? Realistically, what do you think is the bid that would be big enough for Newcastle to say yes and low enough for Liverpool to pay? What is the fair bid? And if you don't have a dog in this fight, so I'm a Chelsea fan, right? Whoever you support. If you're a Liverpool fan, you're probably a bit biased. If you're a Newcastle fan, you're probably a bit biased. Say you're an Arsenal fan, Man United fan. What do you think is the correct... What do you think is the correct price here? I genuinely believe the right amount for Alexander Isak on a 3-year contract is 125 million. And I think what they could potentially do is go a little bit lower, go 115 million, but then try and get somebody brilliant. If I were Newcastle, I'd go, okay, 115 million plus Harvey Elliott or something like that. Because they need players. They need players. It's all very well saying they need the money, but they only need the money for what it means on the balance sheet. They only need the money for what it represents for future sales and for future purchases, for the furtherance of the club. They don't actually need the money. The money is insignificant to them. What they need is the players. And if you look at what's going on at Liverpool at the moment, there is a gluttony of excellent footballers who are brilliant players who just aren't brilliant enough for Liverpool. So if Newcastle are sensible, and I've seen nothing about this, can you help me understand? I genuinely have seen nothing about this, and I feel like this should be the talking point far more than it is. I feel like this should be the talking point. Forget the money. Is it 125 million? Is it 110 million? Is it 150 million? Who cares? Call it a flat 100 million, but ask for Darwin Nunez. Call it a flat 100 million. Call it a flat 80 million, and ask for Darwin Nunez and Harvey Elliott. Do something crazy like that, because that, I think, would be far more palatable to Newcastle, because as things stand, they haven't got a team. They ain't got a good... Like I saw their only recognisable striker, and I'm sure you have a far more intricate and better understanding of the game than me, but I'd never heard of him. The one centre-forward that is currently, because Callum Wilson's left, the one centre-forward that is currently available for Newcastle United, I personally don't know who he is. So it's not really about the money anymore from a Newcastle perspective. So there is no doubt in my mind that this gets over the line. When I think that this could be incredibly messy from here. I think this could be incredibly drawn out. You know, one of those hateful, protracted, almost a soap opera transfer. You know, who knows what's going to happen? We're going to have teams reporting other teams for tapping up. We're going to have Isak potentially going on strike. We're going to have a transfer request actually handed in. I've already seen some graffiti at St James's Park, which was fairly derogatory about Alexander Isak. You just know that this is going to get aggressive. You just know that this is going to be one of those. But this is why Liverpool hold all the cards. This is why, in a poker-like conversation, this is why the person at the table with the massive stack and the pocket aces are Liverpool. Because Liverpool have the luxury of saying, we don't need him. Whether that's true or not is irrelevant. This is the negotiating tactic. And this is a dance. And Liverpool have come ready for the dance and they are well prepared. They know the routine inside out. They know exactly what they want to do. They know exactly what they want to achieve. They know exactly how this is going to play out. And they knew that the bid that they were going to put in was low. And they knew that the bid that they were going to put in was going to be rejected. And then they knew what they were going to do. They knew that they were going to walk away. Because that leaves Newcastle completely high and dry. It leaves Newcastle with a player that doesn't want to play for them. It leaves Newcastle with an asset that is their biggest asset by a mile that doesn't want to play for them. And it leaves them with an asset that doesn't want to play for them who has literally nowhere to go. It is genius from FSG. And I know that Liverpool fans are often correct about this, but I know that they're not always particularly supportive of everything that FSG have done. FSG no doubt have their faults. But my God, they've got this right. Because do you know what you can do now if you're at Edwards over the weekend? What is it? They've done it on a Friday as well. They're smart. Do you know what they can do now over the weekend? Sit out in your garden. They've probably got glorious swimming pools up in Cheshire somewhere, right? You know, those like really affluent bits of Cheshire where all the footballers live. Got a swimming pool in the garden. You don't even check your emails now. You know what you have done. You have lit a fuse at Newcastle United. At Newcastle, everyone's scampering. Emergency meetings in the morning. Everyone in the war room. This is serious. At Liverpool, you sit back, man. Because you've basically planted a seed that is now going to turn into something. And Newcastle now have a terrible reality that is Liverpool going to walk away. And even if they're not, you know they're not. I know they're not. But they might. They won't, but they might. And the fact that they might means that Newcastle have to do business. Unless they can find a rival suitor. Unless, I can't even think. Can anyone think of any club that could actually make this work? It makes no sense for Real Madrid. Like, realistically, what clubs are the kind of clubs that can kind of spend like this? Right? What kind of the kind of clubs that can actually spend like this? Realistically, off the top of my head, Real Madrid, Man City, Chelsea, let's just say them all, right? Real Madrid, Man City, Chelsea. Barca aren't in this conversation anymore. Bayern have kind of changed their ethos a bit, but probably not. Is there any other Premier League team that I'm missing? Probably not, right? So, you've got three teams. Nobody has any interest. Chelsea, for one reason or another, we know, will not bid on Alexander Isak. I would love it. My God, I would love it. But he doesn't fit who we are. He doesn't fit the profile. He doesn't fit what Stuart and Winstanley are trying to build. So, at Chelsea, you discount. Real Madrid. Could that happen? Could Real Madrid actually do it? Oh, by the way, I've just seen Super Chat has landed from Robin G8. Robin G8 has said, Ornstein reported that Isak refused a new contract with a 2026 exit clause. Craig Hope said he has no desire to reintegrate. All the pressure is at Newcastle United. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Robin. He wants out now. It isn't about a 2026 exit clause. And do you know what? Alexander Isak is clever here. Do you know why? Because having a 2026 exit clause doesn't guarantee you a move to Liverpool. Imagine this situation. Mohamed Salah has his best season ever next year. Best season ever. Ever. Okay? So goals galore. They win the league. Hugo Ekitike scores 33 goals in all comps. 33. Hugo Ekitike, down the middle, scores 33 goals. They don't need Isak anymore. suddenly they won't be looking to sign Isak. Isak might have a terrible season as well. So a 2026 exit clause for Isak doesn't work for him. Football is about making that move now. It drives me mad. You know when people say this, I think it's such a dumb thing to say. Do you agree with me? You know when people go, this player X shouldn't leave that club now. They should stay there for another year and do the move next year. I'm like, you idiot. That move may never happen. You may never get that opportunity again. You know, people go, oh yeah, he should have stayed at QPR for another year and not gone to Man United. You're like, well, Man United are knocking on his door. Of course he should have gone. It's like when Lampard was at Derby and got the opportunity to come to Chelsea. You make that moment count. You get one opportunity. This is in life. You get an opportunity. You've got to seize it. You may never get that opportunity again. And Alexander Isak wants to play for Liverpool. He wants to play for the best club in the country. He wants to play for one of the most iconic clubs in the country. He wants to play for a behemoth, a European behemoth, an institution of British footballing values. And I mean this with all due respect. Newcastle ain't none of the above. He wants to play for all of those things. So he now needs to do everything he can to make it happen, because life of a footballer is fast. And you may never get the opportunity again. If he doesn't move this summer, maybe he never gets to go again. Maybe Liverpool signs someone else. Maybe there's a kid at Liverpool coming through who's going to score 30 goals next year. Maybe you never get the chance. So he is doing the right thing. And as that super chat there says, he has no interest in reintegrating. And do you know what's interesting? Do you know what else I read? From Craig Hope, actually. I read that Anthony Gordon is supportive of his move. So he has the support of the players in the squad, it seems. Anthony Gordon almost regrets not going there himself. Another super chat has landed, this time from Owen, who says, saying Liverpool pulling out of the deal is fake news. Do you know how pathetic and something Newcastle would have looked if they accepted the first bid? Isak to Liverpool is inevitable. Just have to work a bit. Yeah, I kind of agree. I don't think it's necessarily fake news. I agree that Liverpool have no intention of walking away. I do agree with you. They have no intention of walking away. But they can. Liverpool do not need Isak. They need Isak in the way everyone needs Isak. They need Isak in the way that everyone needs a wicked footballer. But I believe that they can win the league without Isak. Do you? And if they can win the league without Isak, then Newcastle have to be slightly concerned that they're going to walk away. Because if Liverpool have decided that the valuation that Newcastle have set, according to Craig Hope, it's 150, maybe they will walk away from that 150. And if Newcastle will not budge on the 150 and Liverpool will not budge on the 120, maybe it won't happen. So I agree, Owen. I think this is a dance. I think this is the inevitable dance. I think that Liverpool put in a low bid, Newcastle reject the bid, Liverpool say they're going to walk away, Isak signs for Liverpool. I believe you. But if you are Newcastle and you're making these decisions, the terrible situation is that the window closes, Isak refuses to play for you, totally unhappy. And then not only do you not have the money, but you have an incredibly unhappy player who seems like he's very popular in the camp at your hands. So I think you're right, but equally there is always jeopardy. Tyler Sheehan Ford in the super chat says, long time my driller. Driller means something good, by the way. I didn't realise. I thought he was insulting me once. But driller is good. How's the family? Family are fantastic. Thank you very much. Lovely summer. Yes, and yeah, you're having a great time of it, no doubt. Congratulations. It's been an amazing time for Liverpool, that is for sure. Doesn't want to jinx it, but Liverpool have to have a good season now, he's saying. Yeah, I mean, I think you do. I think you do have to have a good season now, and I think the pressure is on Slot. But I think he's going to thrive. I think he's going to thrive. I don't think it's going to affect him. I don't think it's going to affect anything. I think, yeah, you are right. Liverpool are, on some level, off the back of spending all this money, under huge amounts of pressure now. The expectation has gone from potentially winning the league to expecting to win the league. But I would also argue that playing for a club like Liverpool or managing a club like Liverpool, I think the pressure is always through the roof. Do you know what? Do you think that's fair? I don't think that you can ever play for Liverpool and play for them in the tempo that you can play for Brentford. I don't think you can have a bad game at Liverpool. I think you are always expected to win the European Cup. Doesn't matter who the team is. Doesn't matter whether it's Sami Hyypiä, Vladimir Smicer or this current crop. They're always expected to win the European Cup and challenge for the league. Like, nothing's changed here. I think that the expectation of running out at Anfield, the cop bellowing out, "You'll never walk alone," 60,000 in the stadium, the history of the club, multiple Premier League titles, some, now actually it is multiple Premier League titles as well. I think that the expectations are always through the roof at a club like Liverpool. And that's the case at Manchester United, and it's the case at Chelsea. It's what happens when you play for a big club. Joe Wilkinson has said Newcastle couldn't sign a Geordie at this rate. I mean, it is tricky, isn't it? I mean, it is tricky for Newcastle. I mean, they signed Aaron Ramsdale, so that's going to be inspirational for everyone. Darren Cooper says Ekitike on the left, Isak centre, and Salah on the right. Yeah, I mean, do you know what, Darren? I think it can go in so many different directions. I think you are right, but I can see a world where Arne Slot will play 2 up front, Ekitike playing up front with Alexander Isak. Remember, Ekitike played in a 2 with Marmoush at Frankfurt, so there's certainly a world where that could happen, and that's the beauty of Slot. When you have a master tactician, somebody who's capable of playing 4-5 formations in the same game, who knows? Who knows what we'll see? And it's true. Magnus Olsen says, this opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better, Eminem, absolutely right. You are absolutely right, Magnus. You have to take the opportunity. And that's why I rate Isak. You know, anybody calling Isak a Judas or there was some really derogatory graffiti. Have you seen the graffiti that was left on the training ground at St. James's Park? That graffiti, I understand it from a Newcastle fan's perspective. And if it was happening at Chelsea, I would feel the same way. I would, no doubt. But this is different. He's trying to join the best team in the country. He's trying to leave a team that have had a terrible window. And you know, Newcastle struggling to sign a Geordie. You hear that? They've signed Aaron Ramsdale and Anthony Elanga. Alexander Isak's looking around going, what are you talking about, Aaron Ramsdale? He's going, what are you on about? Like, I got us into the Champions League. I won us our first piece of silverware for nearly 100 years. And you reward me with Aaron Ramsdale. Are you joking? Calm off it. Like, of course I want to leave. And you have to make that opportunity count. We often deride Harry Kane. Come on, be completely honest. I'll ask you a question. You tell the truth. You ever laughed at Harry Kane for winning no silverware up until last year? Have you ever mocked him? Have you ever basically called him an idiot for being incredibly loyal to Tottenham? Have you ever said, you clown, you could have signed for X, Y or Z, you've been the best striker in the country, and you won nothing? Literally not one of Harry Kane's glorious goals, the ridiculous amount of goals, what's he, 3rd, 4th, 5th on the goal scorers charts? None of those goals have counted for anything. Literally none of them. Scored a great goal from the corner flag at White Hart Lane in the Mask against Arsenal. What did it matter? Nothing. It might well not have happened. Alexander Isak doesn't want to be in that situation. He is desperate to be part of this revolution, and it makes sense to me. Three's Company says, Rory, you talk so much sense. Very rare that people say that, so I appreciate the comment. I've been getting it in the neck lately. You wouldn't believe it. Not good. But that's very kind of you, sir. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I love going live. I love this community. By the way, I should remind you, I have a members section. If anyone wants to be part of this community, please join the members section. It's fantastic. We do Q&As. I reply. I get scared to it. I don't talk to anyone on social media. It goes nuts. But on there, that's where my people are at. That's where we can have a bit of back and forth. But that's very kind of you. Thank you. Newcastle United, Guru Cartel says, Newcastle United didn't say 150 is the price. They said he's not for sale at all. That's not true. That's not true. I mean, I've got my information from Craig Hope, who I rate incredibly highly, the writer of the Daily Mail in the North East. 150 is what I've read. If that's wrong, Guru Cartel, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying that you could well know more than me. But I rate Craig Hope, and his coverage of this, I think, has been excellent from start to finish. That's where I got that number from. So I can only say that's where it's from. The number that Newcastle were expecting, according to Craig Hope, was 150. And it came far short of that. That was the wording. It came far short of Newcastle's expected valuation that was 150. But you'll have to... Maybe you're correct and I'm wrong. And if so, I apologise. Charlie Knight says, Newcastle should refuse all business now and have Isak spend a year in the under-21 team. Unacceptable behaviour from Isak, no professionalism. See, Charlie, I think you're onto something here. It would be a terrible thing for football. It would be a terrible thing for Liverpool. It would be a terrible thing for Isak. But Newcastle might need to make a statement. Because, do you agree with this statement? You are not a serious football club if you sell your best players. Simple as that. You are not a football club in the true sense of the word. You're a selling club. Queen's Park Rangers sell their best player. You know what I mean? Like Adel Taarabt left QPR. Raheem Sterling left QPR. You're not a serious football club if you sell your best players to rivals. Like when Chelsea, when I was a kid, when our crest was very, not that, our best players would leave. Graham Stewart goes to Everton. Andy Townsend goes to Aston Villa. We lost players and it was heartbreaking. But you don't sell your best players now, and you certainly don't sell your best players to Premier League rivals. You just don't do that. Arsenal have had to pay heavily for doing that. And I think that now there is a world where Newcastle should almost take the hit on the money, take the hit on the team, but make a statement to the world. You do not take our best. Impossible, but you know what I mean? That could be something huge. Nick Kingdom here with a ridiculously generous super chat. Welcome to the community, sir. Nick, I don't know if I've seen your name around here, but I really appreciate the super chat, and I do hope that you're part of the community that we're building here. Hi Rory, great show. I reckon if Liverpool don't sign this window, they will in the January window. Also, I don't think Isak would play at their meeting at the beginning of the season, as it would be carnage. So definite mind games from Liverpool. I don't think it can happen in January. I don't think it can happen. Deals of this magnitude, it's rare that they happen in January. And I think that this has to happen now or never. Potentially never. I don't think who does it benefit to wait until January? Also in January, mate, Nick, I'm going to go back to the points I was making earlier. Things change. Things massively change. Like, imagine a situation where Liverpool are 15 points clear at the top of the league. They haven't lost a game in Europe. And Hugo Ekitike, at that point of the season, has scored 19 goals. Maybe they don't want to spend. Maybe they're quite happy with what they've got. Maybe someone else shines and they don't need him in the team anymore. Maybe Florian Wirtz ends up playing far more attacking and there's no room for Alexander Isak in the team. I don't believe anything that I've just said is going to happen. I think there's always room in the team for Alexander Isak. But the unknown, the other thing that would totally make this impossible would be, imagine if Alexander Isak got injured playing for Newcastle. He'd be being booed by his own fans. It would be a mess. And plus, you know what you've said there? That he's not playing against Liverpool. That's unfair, isn't it? I mean, look, these things happen all the time. I'm not naive enough to... Of course, you're correct. This could happen. But it would be a terrible, terrible statement for the Premier League if Alexander Isak scores 2 goals for Newcastle against Arsenal, scores 2 goals for Newcastle United against Man City, and then doesn't play in the game against Liverpool, and Liverpool win 2-0. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would almost have an impact on the destiny of the Premier League title. So I don't think that we can quite... I mean, look, anything is possible, of course, but I don't see it. I really don't see it going that way. But, I mean, who knows? I mean, who knows? I mean, it really is a totally unpredictable saga, this. Something that feels like it is going to run and run and run. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. Let me dive into the chat here and see what is being said. Newcastle United have to be careful with the message to future players. That's interesting from Barimo. Yeah, you are right. Players don't want to feel like they can't get a move. Players don't want to feel in prison. You're absolutely right. And this happened a little bit last year, didn't it, with Anthony Gordon? And Anthony Gordon has come out and said that he really... Anthony Gordon has said that he really wants Isak to move. He really wants Isak to actually go, which I think is mad. I really do think it's absolutely bonkers. Can I ask you all a massive favour, please? If you are watching this and you haven't yet subscribed, would you consider clicking that subscriber button? It would be my honour to welcome you to the community. I love going live like this. I love having these chats, and I am dreaming of reaching the promised land that is 350,000 subs. So if anyone is watching and they aren't subscribed, go on, click that button. Really does help me out. Like I say, it would be a joy to welcome you into this community. I just love what we're building here. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in as well. And also, if you could like the stream, I have no idea why. I have no idea what that does, but I hear far better and bigger YouTubers than me say it. So I'm just going to copy, regurgitate what they say and hope for the best. If you would be kind enough to like the stream as well, I really would appreciate it. So let's just recap on exactly where we are. Liverpool do not plan on making a second bid for Alexander Isak. Their first bid has been turned down. They are now suggesting, intimating, maybe posturing that they are walking away from this deal, which means that they have totally unsettled, destabilised and agitated Newcastle's best player. Newcastle's best player is currently training on his own in Spain. His teammates are on a different continent. He is apparently injured, but he isn't having his rehabilitation at Newcastle United. He's having it with his own staff, with his own team, at the training facilities of his former club. The team he played for in, 2025? What is he doing there? I can tell you exactly. He is doing his best to orchestrate a move. He is doing his best to make sure that this move happens. That is desperately what he is trying to do. He wants to join this revolution that is going on at Newcastle United. And realistically, who can blame him? Who can blame him? Think about what Liverpool offer. Compare it to what Newcastle offer. Think about the signings that have come in. Compare Anthony Elanga with Florian Wirtz. Who would you rather play for? Would you rather play with Florian Wirtz or would you rather play with Anthony Elanga? Are you inspired at the arrival of Frimpong? Do you like the idea of linking up with Kirkes? Are you watching Kirkes thinking, my God, I could get my head or my boot on the end of a lot of crosses off that geezer. I would score goals galore, bundles of goals, linking up with him. Do you love the idea of playing a 1-2 with Mohamed Salah and pinging the ball into the back of the net at the Kop? Do you love the idea of getting into little triangles with Florian Wirtz involved? Or do you dream of lining up with Aaron Ramsdale? Simple as that sometimes, isn't it? It really is as simple as that. So there is no doubt in my mind that this simply needs to happen. Another super chat has landed from the Guru Cartel. Says, Ben Jacobs, this is a quote from Ben Jacobs, no acknowledgement from Newcastle, 150 million or any other number is the asking price. We know it's 150, but it's not in official talks. Good show. Thank you for clearing that up, Guru Cartel. Appreciate that. Am I right in saying this then? Do you agree with this? 150 and Newcastle countenance the sale. 150 and Newcastle United seemingly are open to the sale. And if they are, then maybe this deal could actually happen. Maybe there is a world where this deal could actually happen, because as much as we're hearing that Liverpool won't amend, maybe you could reach 150 million in a different way. Darwin Nunez leaves, that sort of thing. Would that be the kind of thing that would maybe whet the appetite? I mean, the idea that Alexander Isak stays now, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, there's just no way that Alexander Isak can stay at the club. Like, anybody talking about potentially doing this next year, like all of this, it's plausible next year. Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, they'll all be looking for a number 9 next year. It just doesn't make sense. What on earth is Alexander Isak supposed to do for another year? Like, I really do not know what the suggestion is. By the way, I've just realised I've missed a couple of super chats, so please bear with me. One here has landed from the Liquid, who says, if Liverpool want Isak, we will get him. Don't trust the media. Do you know what? I think you can trust the media, but I would also say that you're correct. I also do believe that you will get him. I don't see a world where ultimately you end up not getting him, because it just has to happen. I think it's also getting to the stage now where it's basically beneficial for everyone. The Righteous Gamer here says, Liverpool fan here, and I can see us not putting in another bid and now letting Isak push for the move, refusing to play, then making Newcastle accept 120. Well, this is interesting. The Righteous Gamer, because if you do that, if you don't put in another bid and you just let Alexander Isak agitate, you just let Alexander Isak almost pollute the Newcastle dressing room from the inside out, it's going to get to the stage where if he will not play, if he puts in a transfer request and he literally refuses to play, it's going to get to the stage where he will be distracting to Newcastle. Like, it's already a saga that Eddie Howe doesn't want. It's already a saga that Eddie Howe is not part of. So I can see a world, most certainly, where, it's going to be beneficial to Newcastle to sell him. But as soon as Newcastle realise that, the price drops. As soon as Newcastle realise that he is not in their makeup anymore, the price drops. So it could be in Newcastle's interests to get this deal done. Andre McKenzie here in the Super Chat says, free Alexander Isak is trending on Twitter. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? It really is crazy. There's also an interesting Super Chat here from Whiffed It that says, good evening, lad. Brought the home kit today, and that's like what, 0.0001% of the transfer. I mean, you're doing your bit. You are doing your bit. Although, thankfully for you, the workings of Liverpool Football Club has been so spot on with regard to PSR issues. They're fine. They're absolutely fine. There is no issue with regard to PSR. There is a guarantee within everything that Liverpool are doing that they can most certainly afford the player. I mean, I've seen the data that shows just how Liverpool can afford Isak. I mean, it's down to things like TV money, prize money, the way that they get sponsorships. Like, they're really, really market savvy. And basically, Liverpool will not be hampered by PSR. And if they want, seemingly they don't want, but if they do want, they can break the bank for Alexander Isak. But this is just down to success. This is down to doing well in the Champions League. This is doing well in the Champions League consistently, getting to finals, getting out the groups, constantly being in the tournament. This is down to shrewd business approach. You know, they make an awful lot of money from corporate sales. You know, that new part of the stadium, it's all corporate, and that will be incredibly expensive. And then it's the TV money. You know, the TV money is through the roof with it. So yeah, I don't think you have a problem on that front. But your contribution is, of course, hugely appreciated by Liverpool Football Club, I'm sure. Jose Perez says, Isak would be great for the Reds, but those injuries are a bit worrying. At the same time, I think Slot can manage his time. I actually wouldn't worry about that. I really wouldn't. There's also a super chat from Jack Lynch, who has just said nothing but supported the channel. I love that. Thank you so much. I love this community. I really do. You are so appreciated, and I love you all for tuning in. Thank you so much. I do have a members section, by the way, where I do Q&As and whatever else, if anybody wants to be part of that. And also, if you would be kind enough to click that subscriber button right now, if you haven't already, massively helps me out. I can't tell you how useful that is. Oh, a super chat has just landed here from Ash Brandis, who says, what happens if Isak goes and Newcastle don't get a replacement signing? That won't happen. That I can guarantee you won't happen. Because I think this signing will happen, and I think Isak wants to leave. I think Newcastle will acquiesce to the fact that he will leave. And on some level, for the furtherance of Newcastle, he kind of needs to leave. If he's not going to play, if he's going to be furious and whatever else, he needs to leave. But there is one thing that won't happen. Like, you know, when people are going, I don't know if the deal will happen, I don't know if Liverpool walk away and all that. The one thing that could potentially hold it up is Newcastle will not sell unless they get the replacement in. So unless Sesko is in, he won't leave. Do you know what I think they should do? Tell me, is this a good idea or is this a terrible idea? I think that Newcastle should ask for Darwin Nunez. Am I on my own here? Does anyone else rate Darwin Nunez as highly as I do? Like, I genuinely think that Darwin Nunez is a really good player. I really do. I think he's an excellent player, and I think he would do incredibly well for Newcastle United. I think he is up there, and you know, when you think about the other players that I've seen linked, Benjamin Sesko, Ollie Watkins, I think Darwin Nunez is better than them. Like, just let me go into the chat here and see what you're saying. Who's a better player, Ollie Watkins or Darwin Nunez? Because I don't think this is even a debate. I don't think this is even a thing. I don't even think they're comparable. But for some reason, Ollie Watkins is being monitored by Newcastle United. I've heard no noise that Newcastle United are monitoring Darwin Nunez. And again, I'm kind of like making this up as I go along, but I just think Nunez is so much better. I really do. And on that front, I feel like a lot of people are saying Watkins is better. Loads of people are saying Watkins is better. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like that would be such a snug fit. It would make the deal so much easier. You offer 100 million Darwin Nunez. Suddenly, Newcastle have their signing. They have their centre forward. They have a marquee player up front. I just think, hang on a minute, I know the answer to this. Nunez is better. Nunez is better than Watkins. What are we talking about here? I think people forget, because Darwin Nunez is rash, because he has the capability of missing a sitter here and there. People forget quite how good he can be as well. Do you remember those goals that he scored at St James's Park very early one season? Even last year. Do you know when Liverpool won the league? You agree with this? Do you know when Liverpool won the league? The day that I knew they were going to win the league. Brentford away. The G-Tech. That was the moment that Liverpool won the league. And it was down to Darwin Nunez being truly brilliant in the final minute of the game. Like, Darwin Nunez is winning the poll. That's good news. Darwin Nunez is winning. It's not as much of a landslide as I thought it would be. That is as much. I'm surprised by that. Paddy McGarity. It's a great name you've got there, sir. Paddy McGarity says he won't wear a football shirt of the team he supports, but he will support Three Penguins playing random sports. That's right. That's right. That is what I'll do. And welcome to the community, Jer. Is that a Ranger? QPR? Glasgow? Welcome to the community, sir. Paddy, thank you very much for your super chat as well. I genuinely do love what we're building here. Simon Kendrick in the super chat says, no way Michael Edwards green lights a bid to just walk away at first rejection. He's a negotiating genius. Liverpool will be back. Just negotiating tactics. Correct. You're completely correct. But what I would also add to that, Simon, whilst I agree with everything that you said up until this point, everything you said is spot on. There's no way that Liverpool expected Newcastle to accept the first bid. There's no way that Liverpool didn't know what they were going to do when the first bid was rejected. They knew that they were going to performatively walk away. There is one thing that I disagree with you on, though. This is the important bit. And this is why Michael Edwards is such a genius. One of the first rules of negotiating is actually being ready to walk away. I don't think he will walk away. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Alexander Isak will be wearing the red of Liverpool. He will have a liver bird upon his heart very soon. That's what I believe will happen. But you have to be ready to walk away from anything. You just have to be. Otherwise, you are not quite the negotiator that you think you are. And let's play a game here. Help me get to the bottom of this one. Play this game with me. Let's pretend that Liverpool do walk away. Who do you think wins the league next year? Liverpool, right? You still believe that Liverpool win the league next year, don't you? Whether or not they sign Alexander Isak, you still believe that they win the league next year, don't you? I certainly do. Isak signs for Liverpool, Liverpool win the league. Isak doesn't sign for Liverpool, Liverpool win the league. Maybe it will be harder. Maybe they won't accrue as many points. Maybe they won't win the European Cup. Maybe they won't secure the dynasty. Maybe it would be a missed opportunity. Maybe. But they retain their league title. And Edwards knows that. And there will be a plan B. The plan B might be to go in for him again next year. The plan B might be to sign someone else who they are keeping an eye on. There might be someone in the youth team. There might be a Sesko. Who knows? But I do disagree with you here, Simon. Only in as much as I don't think that if you believe that Edwards is the unbelievable negotiator that you think he is, and I agree with you, he is that. But there is one part of his skill set that must be acknowledged, and that is that he will walk away. Because you aren't a good negotiator if you won't. The JA says, the thing is, Newcastle need to sell Isak. Liverpool did not want to sell Coutinho, but they were ready to buy Van Dijk and Alisson with the Coutinho money. Do you know what, though, JA? It's an interesting one, right? The Coutinho money served you so well, no doubt. It's set you up for the club that you are today. And that is a great example of it working. But my God, it's rare. Anybody, and I find it such a weird theory. You know when people constantly try and suggest that selling your best player is good news? Like, sell your best player and rebuild the team. Sell your best player and reinvest the money. Sell your best player and somehow you'll be better. I think it's nonsense. There's one example of it, and it's Liverpool. But that one example is going to do an awful lot of teams a real disservice, because there are going to be teams that use that as a blueprint and try and regurgitate that strategy, and it will not work. Do you remember the Gareth Bale money? Do you remember that Tottenham picture? Basically, who was it? Paulinho? No good. Paulinho, no good, right? Who was in it? Roberto Soldado, one of the worst players I've ever seen play with my own eyes. Literally one of the worst centre-forwards that has ever played for Tottenham. That miss in Europe that cost them a trophy. One of the best thing that ever happened to me, but one of the worst misses I've ever seen. Who was the star of that? Okay, Ericsson was part of it, wasn't he? He did well. Who else? Eric Lamela did all right. Loved the Rabona goal. That Rabona goal in the North London derby. Do you remember that? Bang! He stunned it. It was like a snooker shot. Bang. Good goal. But Tottenham did this, and it counted for nothing. Nothing. And I just don't see it as a strategy. Selling your best player is bad news. End of story. Selling your best player is always bad news. And anyone that tries to pivot that, anyone that tries to put a positive spin on selling your best player, I wholeheartedly disagree. I just don't see it. The Jer is in the super chat and has said, how about Harvey Elliott put in as a sweetener? Jer Gannon, it's about Jer, short for Gerard. Steve Gerrard. Lifelong fan from Dublin. What's happening, mate? I love Dublin. I genuinely do. I love it there so much. I go to Dublin once a year to play poker at the RDS. Truly love it. Oh, it's short for Gerard. Harvey Elliott as a sweetener. Yeah, I agree. I think Newcastle should get greedy, though. There are so many good players at Liverpool that are surplus to requirements. Harvey Elliott, a beautiful footballer. I rate him so highly. I really do. I think he's wicked. I think he's so good. And Harvey Elliott would be a brilliant player for Newcastle. I think that Newcastle should potentially look at doing it this way rather than money. Get some money, but get Nunez and Elliott, if you can. I think that would do really well. Thank you very much, Joe. Welcome to the community. When I'm in Dublin next year, I'll see you for a pint. Craig Binks says, Liverpool wanted their bid out in the public. It starts the conversation. Now the noise starts. Mate, you're absolutely right. It's called lighting the fuse, isn't it? And it's what I said at the very beginning of this stream. Do you know what I think it is? What Liverpool have done? They've done it on a Friday. They now create a situation of instability. Basically, the tectonic plates of Newcastle, the city of Newcastle, are rumbling. And do you know what Liverpool are doing? They're sitting by the pool. Sitting by the pool, having a pina colada. That's what Liverpool are doing. Metaphorically, but maybe even literally. Maybe Michael Edwards has set the fuse alight, has created a situation of like total instability. He's got everybody from Craig Hope to me talking about it. Newcastle don't know what day it is. They're having emergency war room meetings. Anyone involved at Newcastle now is going, get in here, we've got to sort this out. While Liverpool, you create the instability and you sit back and you hope for the best. You watch it burn and you go through the rubble. And that's ultimately what Liverpool are doing here. And it is such a master strategy. It really is. And Craig, you're absolutely right. The reason why the bid is public is for this exact reason. And I believe the reason it's happened on a Friday is also for this reason. Just to create a situation of volatility. Alexander Isak is now on the phone to his agent, who is currently on speed dial to maybe the chairman, the PIF, Al Ramian, maybe to him. Going, you need to sort this out. Because Eddie Howe is apparently out, right? This has gone bigger than Eddie Howe. This is now an Al Ramian issue. And there is a chance that he is now on the phone going, we've got to sell this bloke. We've just got to sell him. We've got to cash in. Because if we don't cash in now, it will never, ever happen. Dunop UK says, you're a very handsome chap. I think that there's something up with your computer, mate. Because that is not true. That is the most out there thing I've ever heard. Totally incorrect. Nonsense statement. But I do appreciate the support on the channel and the kind words, even if it is utterly nonsense. Thank you very much. Ash Brandis says, do you think other teams are more inclined to go in on Sesko knowing that they are getting a good player and potentially stopping the Isak deal? That's interesting. So what? So for example, if Chelsea were considering signing Isak and was scared of Liverpool getting even stronger, we now go and buy Sesko. Not only do we get a player, but we put the brakes on Newcastle's ability to sell their striker because they haven't got a striker to replace him. I like this guy. I like him, mate. Do you know what? Ash Brandis needs to change his name to Ash Machiavelli. That is Machiavellian in its truest, purest form. I love that. The truth is, no, I don't. But maybe that's because my mind doesn't operate in that way. I love it. So if you are, who could potentially do this? Who would potentially be scared? Who wouldn't want Isak to go to Liverpool? Man United. Just out of rivalry. Man United don't want them to get any stronger, do they? So Man United suddenly go, let's go and get him before he goes to Newcastle, because that could have an impact on Newcastle replacing Isak, which could have an impact on Isak being sold to Liverpool, which means Liverpool will not get their man potentially. Ash, I kind of rate it, but my brain never went there. But I do like it, sir. There is something in that, no doubt. And the more I'm thinking about that, I'm kind of I'm processing that in real time, and I think that you are potentially onto something. Huge. Who do you think Liverpool sign now, if anyone, says Loeb? I don't think they will. I don't think they need a striker. I think that's the beauty of the situation they're in. That's why they went and got Ekitike. That's why they went and effectively mugged Liverpool for Ekitike. Because getting Ekitike in meant that they couldn't be held to ransom for Isak. Once they had Ekitike, they didn't need Isak. Not in the true sense of the word. They need Isak because everyone needs Isak. Every single team in the world needs Isak, but you don't need him. You don't desperately need him. And that makes you more likely to get him. Because if they didn't have Ekitike, Newcastle know that Liverpool can't walk away. But because they do have Ekitike and Wirtz, Newcastle know that they might walk away, which makes their position so much stronger. So I don't think they need to sign anyone because, to be totally frank, I don't think they need Isak. They don't need Isak to win the league. I think they're going to win the league without him. So, realistically, I think that they won't sign anyone, Loeb. The Neom says, Rory, mate, your content is amazing and your storytelling is on point. Thank you. Need an Ade and Rory deadline day show, please. Ade's one of my best mates. Ade's coming to my kid's christening. Ade is up there with the very best people I know. And I think he is a genius. I'm delighted to see him doing so well. And he's one of the best football talkers that I've ever worked with. He's a dear friend of mine, and there will be loads more Adeola Depot content on this channel. I guarantee you that. And do you know what's going to happen? You know what he's like about Liverpool? He don't stop banging on, texting me, chipping away at me. You won't be able to get him off this, Mike. You won't be able to. Like he's very good at doing these videos at the worst of times. But with Liverpool flying high, he's going to be here all the time, driving me mad. So there will be no doubt, Neom, and I really appreciate those kind words. Robin G8 says, Dave OC Cop said that Isak is expected to make a transfer request if no breakthrough is found. In my opinion, Isak could trigger Article 17 if everything else fails. Do you know, with regard to this kind of conversation, I don't know enough about it all. I don't know enough about it. I don't know enough how Bosman, you remember that Bosman ruling and the freedom of movement and keeping players in. I don't know how that will go. I can't predict it. I don't know enough about it. To be totally honest with you, I don't know how Article 17 works. But Newcastle have no obligation to sell. They don't have to sell. So there is a potential stalemate. That's for sure. But Robin, maybe you could let us know. Maybe you could send another message and let us know. Not a super chat. Just let us know if you know more about it than I do. Robbie Sugar Baby says, nobody over the age of 12 should own a scarf. Big up, Rory. Very funny, sir. Very funny. You wouldn't believe the stick I've got. Yeah, mate. Never known anything like it. Just joined. Do you think he'll go to Liverpool? Fitz? I believe he'll go to Liverpool. Yes, sir. I believe he will go to Liverpool. In fact, I can't see a world where he doesn't go to Liverpool now. I think it's getting to the stage where his only possible outcome is going to Liverpool. Because as soon as we try and extrapolate from Liverpool, what have you got to offer? Like, realistically. I mean, people are talking about maybe Madrid next year. Barcelona next year could need a centre-forward. Maybe even Bayern Munich next year could need a centre-forward. But that really doesn't do our mate any favours. I've just seen a message here, by the way. Article 17 of FIFA's regulations on the status and transfer of players deals with the consequences of a footballer terminating their contract without just cause. I mean, there is no just cause. I mean, the just cause would be wanting to be part of Arne Slot's revolution. Is that just? I mean, I'd be inclined to say that it potentially is. Is it just? But I don't know if that will. I don't know if that will necessarily wash. Look, if Newcastle just say he's not going to leave, then I don't think he can leave. But equally, if there's nothing in it for them to say that, is there? There's nothing in it for them to say that. So I believe that ultimately this deal will happen. It's absolutely huge. It really is. And I must say, I've loved this. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Would you do me a favour before you go? Please click that subscriber button now. Really helps me out. I'd love to welcome you into this community. I really would. If you would just click that subscriber button. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, it would really, really help me out if you would be kind enough to click subscribe. And while you're at it, any chance you could like this stream? Could we nudge 727? Reckon we could nudge it to 1,000? That's way too optimistic. I should have gone easier. Reckon we could nudge it to 800? If anyone is watching this and hasn't clicked like, if you would be kind enough to try and nudge that up, Really does help me out, and I would be over the moon. Like I say, I love doing these lives. I'm going to be doing them so much more often. And if you would click subscribe, you can put that little bell on, and it would really, really help me out. So thank you to everybody. Remember, I'm going to be doing a Q&A tonight on the members section. If anyone wants to get involved on members, you can sign up. The link is in the description. Going to be going live on an exclusive members stream. So I look forward to speaking to you then. This has been emotional. Thank you to everybody for tuning in, and I look forward to speaking to you all tomorrow, I'm sure, in a bit.